Hi, everyone. Welcome. Hope everyone had an incredible weekend. I actually was able to visit the snow up in Tahoe. It was super, super, super fun. Kelly Beard will be with us. Hi, welcome. In just a moment. Everything has been super great. Oh, here she is. Hold on. So I would love to hear your stories about this last week and what came up for you.
I finally have the good mic
Hey.
with the little lapel pin, but I can't hear. So I'm going to have to change. Hold on, everyone. Time out. Ah!
Kel, it is what it is, right? It's a learning curve. It's a good thing there's this thing called edit too. Hi, welcome. Thank you all for your continued support and joining us. I hope it starts your week off well. Hi. Please comment and ask questions. Hello. Well, we'll do a test run next time.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. It happens, right? No big deal.
Okay, I tried, y'all. I was all
So
excited.
I'm looking at your beautiful necklace, and I have to remind me to tell you about my friend who makes some incredible pieces. Oh, honey. Oh, I'm hoping she'll be able to join
My
us
new
today.
best friend.
Oh yeah, you will be. I know a couple people watching right now know some of her pieces, and she got into it like for fun. Brilliant
That's
work.
how it happens. It's love.
Brilliant work. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So how are you?
I'm good. How's everyone else doing here?
It seems as
Ah,
though everyone's good. Yeah.
all
Yes.
right. Well, we do have some goodies to talk about today.
Let's do
What?
it.
And I actually promised to send you a list because I mapped it out so you could know it up front as well. But we're going to talk about Mercury retrograde, which is coming up. And we're going to talk about the new moon coming up at the end of the week. So deep breath, everyone. Let's get grounded. Let's be here now. And the energy of this week is really good for anytime you can pull back and start the review, okay? And really start looking at, I feel like our year is just getting started. And at the same time, we're probably going to have to pull back to go forward in some departments. Aquarius Pisces is where Mercury is going to spend its little retrograde zone. So that's going to stimulate a couple of different areas of our charts at the same time. But overall, and like I said, for this, let's say gathering, we're going to talk about the energy of it. So Mercury goes backwards 3 times a year, sometimes 4. And most people know it because it's about, it can mess up communication and technology, and you should get your car checked out and your computer's backed up and all that stuff. And that is true because it rules processes, it rules that kind of mechanical things like that. But for us, it's our consciousness, it's our mental body that could really use a break 3 to 4 times a year. And this is our time to go within, to turn the attention inward and to ask the questions about what's coming up for you. And often, because it does happen 3 times a year, we're reviewing basically the last 3 months. So coming up for February, March, we're going to be looking back and sort of feeling into everything that happened December, January, November, just through the holidays. We're coming up for air.
Yeah, like that blur of the holidays, right? Yeah, with solstice,
Definitely.
all of that. Yeah.
And so when Mercury goes backwards, it also is going to stimulate a couple of planets 3 times over. So that gives us extra energy to work on. And it also gives us an indication of where the energy is supported for our work, whatever it is we want to accomplish at this time. So sextiling Mars is really good activation that's going to happen 3 times over. And it's allowing us to look at our projects, whatever they are, the goals of now, which of course we're all in the new year, so we're all feeling that, right? What's on our list of things to do? What didn't get done in 2019? How much energy are we going to give it in 2020? This is time to sort of look at all that. And we're getting a chance to, I call it a healthy selfishness. So it's, I say self Care and self-preservation are not selfish. They're essential. They're part of what we have to do for ourselves. So Mercury linking up with Mars is about your own consciousness as an individual and what you want and who you are and how you're feeling at this time and what's up for you. So that's why I said it's a healthy selfishness, but it also is a good idea to get some alone time. If you are going to focus on a project, it should be a project that you love and that is your baby, essentially. And giving it that energy and knowing that there's going to be this kind of slow back and forth that Mercury has to do is really revealing things from all sides. It's getting us to look at things from another perspective. It's reversals, right? Anytime a planet goes backwards, we want to look for those reversals that happen. Hey, did you want to jump in?
No, I'm waiting for everybody joining.
Yay! Welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone.
Please, again, I'm going to throw it out there. Any comments, questions, or anything, even if it seems as though we move forward, like
bring it on. We'll circle back. So yeah, this energy is good for our mental body to get a little break. And with all the technology and the way we stay connected, and this is brilliant and wonderful, and we appreciate it. But at the same time, you're going to have to take conscious downtimes and timeouts, and turning things off or getting under the sky always helps. And what I try to encourage people is not to schedule anything too serious, you know, during Mercury retrogrades, but at the same time, because it is so good for inward reflection and turning the questions on yourself, basically, it's also really good for mystical, magical work. So your prayers and intentions this week leading into the new moon, we're building up some energy right now. And at the new moon, you know, it's a dark of moon. It's the time in the sky where there is no moon. And that allows our seeds to germinate in the darkness. So we allow that darkness. And so often I do hear reports of new moons feeling more like endings than new beginnings. So I encourage people to give yourself a little latitude on that one and work with the energies between the new moon and the first quarter. Very often that first quarter, a week later, is basically the first step in a direction, or the first little piece of information that comes into you that you need at that moment. So it is a little bit of a dark internal process of seeding our intentions at the new moon. And the dark of moon, like right now, this couple of days prior, is actually the most potent time to focus and to give it that energy.
Two things. What are the dates for Mercury retrograde? So for people listening, they can mentally prepare a little bit for that, or energetically. Ooh, we like shaking it up a little bit, right?
So our dates for this year are backwards on February 16th at 12 Pisces, and then goes forward March 9th at 28 Aquarius. So it's basically the end of Aquarius, beginning of Pisces. And what that's going to do is it's going to stimulate a little bit of both. So what we're doing is we're doing a little bit of review. I'll use my chart as an example. I need to have yours in front of me because then you can be the guinea pig. Mine, Aquarius is third house, and my Pisces is fourth house. So I know that's where Mercury is going back and forth. And so if you want to know, you can email me, Kelly at Karmic Tools. I'm happy to plug people in and give them their placements for free. And just so you know where your houses are and who rules them, then you can know where Mercury is going to linger. But this month, it's about your ideas and your unique kind of creativity that you're putting forward. It's our connection to spirit and God and being inspired from within. So even if you don't have your ideas ready to go and you're just going to be reviewing them, it might be a time to come up with the new ideas, to be inspired with something new for 2020.
Okay.
We got some people.
So yeah, we do. And what I'm curious about is if someone, say, had an idea and they put some work into it in 2019 and it's a really good idea for them, they know it's in alignment with them, is this a really good time for them to like water that, right? You know, water their seeds and really nurture it a little bit more. And maybe something else will sprout out of it.
Exactly. Okay. And this year, our retrogrades with Mercury, keeping in mind, Mercury rules our mental body, our minds, our ideas, concepts, thoughts, our communication, how we express ourselves. So it's going to go backwards in all water signs this year, even though it's going to go forward in air. Most of the review has to do with our emotions and how we feel about this new year and how we feel about these new beginnings and things that are coming up for us. So keep that in mind. I like to remind people in the water signs, which is Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, which is also our psychic, intuitive, empathic nature. We all have it somewhere. If you have planets activated in those signs, then it's something you work with throughout your life, and you're learning about throughout your life. So I always inspire with Mercury's thing, it's a think with your feelings. This is a year, the whole year, to think with your feelings. We want to process the information, and we want to take some time to do that and look over things, do our due diligence, do our research. Really, you have to nowadays, okay? Because things aren't what they're presented. They're not what they look like, and you've got to feel what's really right for you as an individual. And because we're a worldwide family and a global family now, our individual boundaries are getting more important, that we manage and maintain ourselves, which a lot of times is energetics, right? So keeping our bubble of light around us, keeping that sphere of energy just in your field clean and clear and open and receptive, and also good boundaries,
Yeah.
Knowing
really good
when
boundaries right now are super important. That's where I get, my little pink rubber ball, right? Like
Yep,
stuff
I love
bounces
it.
off, and I'm good inside, like
All day.
all day. And practicing it. And when I'm off of a balance a little bit, like going, like let's
Call it back
do
in. Just call it back in.
Yeah.
Because that's our human getting ahead of ourselves. We just want to bring it back and stay centered. So this new
Also,
moon,
like I'm going to say really quickly, like also when we recognize that in ourselves, we can recognize that gift in other people, right? For them, and understanding that they're going through their stuff too. We still need to power boundaries. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
And I understand you're in a process. I'm going to give you some room right now, and I'm going to go do my thing.
Yeah.
And we can circle back.
Yeah.
We can always circle back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to remind you that with Pisces, there's no logic. Everything's intuitive. And so during the season of Aquarius and Pisces, this month, the next couple of months, is going to be up. So it's a time for you to really check in with your beliefs versus your truth, what you're believing to be true and possible. How is your spiritual connection? Do you feel like you have angels around you all the time? Because you do. Do you feel like you know that you have some ancestors or animal spirit guides that walk with you all the time? And if you don't, it's time to claim them. It's really time to claim them. And we're so supported for that kind of magic and imagination right now, that's what we need for this first quarter of the year. We're going to have to activate our imaginations to really come up with what we want to do this year.
Do you have a good tool for that you would recommend for people, especially for someone who is so analytical, who maybe hasn't, they're afraid of it, right? I hear that all the time with clients, right? Like, well, I'm just not creative, or I don't know how to decorate my house, or whatever, right? So, and for me, I'll just say sometimes just doodle, like who can, like you can toss it, right? Or grab Legos, or when's the last time you did a puzzle, something, right? Like where you
vision board, yeah,
right?
Yeah, I love my vision boards.
Yeah.
So I think it's about getting out of your comfort zone, trying something different, but that you feel drawn to. You don't want to make it hard on yourself, but opening to something new and different is always good, and what we need right now, because we are actually in new territory, and the old ways aren't going to work, and a lot of things that have worked for years, I get it, but they're not going to work anymore. So it's better if we get experimental and we get kind of excited about the unknown instead of afraid of it. And with the magic, I find it more life-affirming and reassuring than scary when I get my confirmations that I know Spirit is walking with me or near me or, in front of me always. So I need those confirmations. I ask for them, and I encourage other people to ask for them too, because the universe is always talking to you, but it's customized. It's going to come in symbols and language that you understand, which could even be added to the prayer. I have to ask, give it to me in something I understand. Like when we're going to do some cards today, and when we pull them, we're basically asking Spirit to speak to us through the cards that we know and understand this language. Give me a message in a language I understand. But we know that the cards have no power. They are not the source. Spirit, energy is the source. You are the source. So,
I love that. And it is true, asking for it. And signs come in, we all translate differently, right?
Exactly.
It's like you and I could go to a movie, and I could say, oh my gosh, that part where blah, blah, blah happened. And you're like, oh, I didn't even care about that part. Like, this is what
perception.
I like. That's our perception.
And that's our filter.
Yeah. Totally.
So that's why we clean our filter during Mercury retrogrades 3 to 4 times a year. You want to do a data dump. You want to let go of all the concepts and perceptions that you've had and kind of question them, because some things have changed and we might be going along on autopilot, and that's when we walk into walls.
Yep.
And nobody wants to do that.
No, I did that this morning. It was not fun.
I talked to my girlfriend. I'm like, are you pushing on the pool door today?
Yeah.
Don't push
And
on
I
the pool.
do want to circle back really quick. Is there something you can recommend for people for the new moon? Like a conscious way of expressing and working with it, that just a small ritual maybe that they could do?
Besides writing intentions, you can, there is a little ritual about having like a biscuit or a little bun of bread, a piece of bread, where you put a nickel or a dime or whatever coin you like in the center of the bread, and you cover it with honey, and you do your wishes, and you give that to living water. And so that's a little one I've done that's easy, and everybody can sort of get access to the materials. Definitely little things like that. You can just make your offering. So if you have a special place in nature, you would go and maybe make a little offering there to the energies that are there that you're attracted to, that are obviously magnetizing you there for some reason, and ask for their support, and then ask for the signs so you can see that what you put in motion is actually coming back to you.
Yay! Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. That's perfect. I haven't done the bread one yet, or the biscuit.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. And sometimes you can put a little candle in, and if it's not too windy, the candle will just, and because I'll use the beeswax, the stuff that's natural and will break down, and that's a good easy one. But definitely the intentions, flowers, putting out a little bowl of fruit, is like an offering. And as it's kind of withers and whatnot, then you go out and take it to the living water or some land sort.
I'm picturing all the wildlife I have in my, like this morning I got to get in the car and there's 30 turkeys in the car.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they'll be enjoying that.
Definitely. And that's okay. That's a good way to keep the energy moving. And that's another thing about the retrogrades, are good timeouts for that. And so this new moon, we're talking about radically shifting our thinking. Aquarius is about the avant-garde and thinking ahead of what's going to be needed coming down the pike. And so expanding your worldview, learning to be more authentic, and being your, like offering your unique piece to the community. Because Aquarius really is all about the community and all of us coming together for some common goal, whatever that may be. Like we check in here once a week for the energies to see how we're feeling and get a little inspiration from the animals or whoever wants to support us now. But for the new moon and the intentions, it's a new beginning. It's always a new beginning. But this is around your freedom and liberation and healing. A lot of your self-love issues can be up at this time because it's going to be a full moon in Leo. So we're going to release anything that's no longer part of ourselves so that we can shine that unique light to the world. And getting into your hopes and dreams, that's another Aquarian principle. That's what happens. They go ahead of the world and they dream up new stuff. And it's a powerful energy to work with, even if you don't have it necessarily activated. And so then, like I said, knowing where it's at. So for me, Aquarius is third house, so it's my writing. So I pay really close attention to the Leo Aquarius alignments or eclipses or the North Node and things, because I know I'm going to be creating through that. Yeah. And so knowing where it is will really help. So we've got some questions to contemplate.
So I have a question for you for everyone who's listening or who's going to watch this recording. Again, email Kelly. But maybe we can do a chart for people, an individual chart for people, and explaining a brief outline for them when they want to book a session with you, right? When they make a session for you for like their chart, you can explain for people who this is new to, what is the first house? What is the second house and third house? And then that might be something we could make a special thing for.
I could make a little infographic of like a cheat sheet.
yeah. Or when they do book a session with you, they can say they saw you on the Instagram, right? Yeah. And that we'll do this. Here's your chart, your specific chart. This is where your houses are for whatever cost that is for you, because there's an energy exchange, right? But something that is very user friendly for people who don't know, right?
I have a simple little PDF that'll give you your placements written out so that you can Google and look up more articles and you'll know your placements exactly. That's easy.
any of you guys that would like that, just feel free, chime in and say yes, no, maybe so. Okay, Kelly, sorry. Just
No, it's all good. Just, I think it's all coming together. Like we're going to
yeah.
go into the new moon energy first, and then we're going to go into the Mercury retrograde energies. And so knowing that at this moment while we're together, all planets are direct. So we keep planting our seeds is really powerful at this time as well. So what's most precious to you? What is special and unique about you? Like it might be time for some people who have been going along and doing their thing to specialize.
We are getting a yes. That would be awesome. Thank you. That's so helpful because I don't know. So yeah, yeah.
Totally. Email Kelly at Karmic Tools and I'll shoot it right back.
Yeah.
And so there's things right now where I'm even asking for the same thing. Like, what is unique? What's going to make me different? There's lots of people talking about shamanism and astrology and all of the things that I'm into, but I'm working on those things that make me different. And this is the month to kind of call it in. And this week kicks it off.
It's super interesting. Just so you know, I signed up and did some alignment stuff yesterday and signed up for some things that are out of my comfort zone, just naturally, right? Like, like, oh, I think I should do this. Boom, right? And it felt super integrous and in alignment with what's coming in. And you and I haven't talked since last week.
Right? I know.
So, right? Yeah.
That's so great. Well, we also want to look at how you restrict yourself or your nature in any way. What amount of sacrifice is going on, and is it worth it for your freedom? You know, that balancing these kind of things out with yourself. How do you handle disruption, and are you flexible or rigid? Aquarius brings up that kind of shadow rigidity where it's a fixed sign, right? So it finds something that works and it sticks to it. We all kind of do that to a certain extent where we're going along with our routines and it seems like it's working, so we don't question it. Nowadays, you got to question kind of once a month, once a year, something. You've got to have a rhythm with yourself to do that. And today, we're not going to mess up the time.
I know. I am looking at it actually.
Okay. I usually have it in front of me and now it's to the side. So
yeah.
Would you like to be part of a supportive, nurturing, self-sustaining community? I think we all would. And so I always encourage people who feel like they might be the lone wolf or out on their own. I seem to attract a lot of solo priestesses because I was one for a long time. And the community is so important because even like us just talking now, we're all going to have sort of a different take on the same energy. And when we get to talk about it, then it unlocks things for other people and their imagination starts going like, wait, I saw a sign about that, or I saw something that relates to that. And all of a sudden you start realizing that you have more access than maybe you give yourself credit for, you know?
Absolutely. And the format that we have here where people can ask questions and comments, it allows that's one reason I'm encouraging that so much is because someone else is probably thinking it, and if they're not thinking it right now, they are on the recording later, and that is how we learn and grow, right?
Absolutely.
And that is how we have a great reminder that we are not alone.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have a community, and that's what I did, I moved to Florida. I don't have a lot of people here. I love the nature here. And I love the land, and that's been fine and educational. But I didn't have the people to gather with. And so I started the community. That's what I did when I moved here in 05, and the Venus Circle that's going now started in 07. So it's been going like that anyway. So I do tell people all the time, if you don't have it, create it. It takes, when two or more gather, it raises the vibe. You start to attract other like-minded souls. It's all good. You just have to start it. Somebody's got to start it.
Somebody has to start it. Yes. And why not us, right?
Right. And if not now, when?
Right? Yeah. And that's part of this, right? This will have the ripple effect as well. And that is, I think, so important for this year, actually. Right.
And then the energetics. Again, with this week specifically, let's do a little balancing and personal attention on the mental emotional balance. How's it going for you as an individual? Is it a little bit of mental overwhelm, which does happen, or emotional overwhelm for that matter? For us feelers in the world, we can feel everyone's, pain and suffering and struggle. So again, with the boundaries and kind of asking your guides and things to let you know when you need to pay attention, like you should have an internal mechanism that helps you discern when you need to get involved or when you need to keep your boundaries. you
And you
know?
can ask yourself that, actually.
Absolutely.
Give yourself that, say, okay, show me yes or no in my body what
Exactly.
that feels like,
That's
and
it.
then ask. And if you
And
don't
ask.
know, just wait and breathe
Hmm.
and give it a second. You'll get the
And
answer.
you
Yeah. And
will. You
quick.
will.
It's a
And
fast answer,
it is. And
within.
it's just a practice. And the stronger you get at that, then the time the in between gets even shorter and shorter. You can, you can just think, I'm thinking about that, and
But it
boom,
wasn't, you didn't
the
even
answer.
finish it.
Right, exactly.
You
It's
know?
totally happened to me. So
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we would ask for an animal card for the,
Can you say
go
your
ahead,
email again? It's
Kelly
Kelly.
at karmictools.com. That's
And it's,
KARMIC tools, TOOLS.com.
yes. And it's Kelly
Karmic
with a
Tools.
Y.
Yes, Kelly with a Y.
Kellly.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's been a while since I've seen another Kelly.
I was
So,
like,
yeah,
actually, there's someone on here whose name's
I
Kelly,
love it.
and it's an IE. So I was like, oh, I
Yay.
better.
Definitely. Kelly with a Y.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad there's people here. This is great.
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking about pulling an animal card for the Aquarius side because that's our mental and it has to do with our unique piece of what we're bringing to the community or to the table in a relationship. And then we'll ask about what we're reviewing through the Pisces zone for our sensitivity and boundaries and maybe what we need to think about in terms of magic or mystical things and see what animals want to play with us. And then we pull the cards and you look around. You see if you don't, maybe the animal's not in your neighborhood or in your part of the world, but you might see a picture of it, or you might see a license plate with the name on it, So there's different ways that we'll get our animal validation throughout the week. And I'd be curious. You guys totally write me if it happens. So deep breath. Mhm. Okay. So what I did was I pulled Chickadee, which is Seek Inner Truth. Very pretty little bird. Seek the inner truth. So with the Aquarius part, it's about getting back to your own ideas and ideals and what that might mean for you personally. And what is your vision for community? And what is your role in that? And how are your roles changing as we speak? And seeking inner truth, obviously, we want to turn inward during the Mercury retrograde. So I like that. This is 4 of Winged Ones. So 4s are special for anyone with numbers. They're into their numbers. Or 4 of Air or 4 of Swords. If you have your own deck, you can look up additional interpretations. That's always fun. But the chickadee is a member of the titmouse family and a very small, dull-colored birds, okay? And so the appearance indicates that it is time to seek inner truth, go within oneself for answers rather than outside sources, which is always going to be a Mercury retrograde advice, right? So we cannot judge the outcome of our activities based on outer appearances. We must go within to find the truth within our hearts and hold to it no matter what the outside circumstances. So I think we might have touched on this last week, how a storm can be going on right across the street. But if you're not getting rained on, don't take your body through the trauma of whatever's going on around you. That if it doesn't have anything to do with you, bless it, say a little prayer, send it some light for, best outcome for all involved, and then back up. Help has to be invited. So if people ask for your help and then engage you in a storm, that's a different thing. So
wear your raincoat.
Right, exactly. Get ready and have your exit strategy. So chickadee's appearance often accompanies feelings of being cut off and out of touch. So again, like I said, with Aquarian energy, it's always the outsider and how we're different. And actually, I want to make that a good thing. Our differences create a fabric of amazingness. And I love diversity. And so that's what Aquarius wants to bring up. That's what the age of Aquarius is going to be all about. We're all part of this family, this global family that's all connected, but unique in our own right. Like each culture has its own food and spices and goodness that they bring to the table, and it's all good.
It's a cause for celebration. Our differences are a cause for celebration.
Always.
There's a beauty.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really going to be a good thing to do this pulling back because we're also reviewing our dreams and the potential and all the, like I said, your ideals, what you want to create. And this is the new moon week. So we should be digging into here and taking our time turning inward to do it, right? So because Chickadee is a sign of spring, it is also a sign that things are changing around us for the better. Our dreams are going to blossom like flowers in the spring. So in another 2 months, you know, basically in this hemisphere. I'm not sure if we've got totally international people.
We do,
For now,
actually, so
yeah, the other side of the world, welcome. We need to be patient, pull back our energies, go within, and relax. And this is the other thing about connecting to what's really important to you, because the opposite of Aquarius is Leo. So it's all about the heart. If you're not feeling it, you're not interested in it, if it's not turning you on and getting you excited, then it's not for you. Then that's not your community. That's not your role. Maybe you need a different kind of role to play. And so Chickadee is a great reminder. I love when they have questions too. So there's the black cap, which we saw on her little head. Where'd she go?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's got that black head
Yeah.
with the little white body. So this reminds us to keep our thinking straight. Another Mercury retrograde exercise, right? When Chickadee appears, we can expect greater understanding, truth, and perspective about the shadows we have been experiencing. So that's another thing about turning within and why we do shadow work. Because if there's a reaction, there's a shadow. If you're triggered by something, there's something you haven't addressed one way or another, either with yourself or with other people, you know. So this is another time where I would say go in, do the review, maybe write the letter, but don't send it. You know, think about what you want to say to people. If you've got some relationships that need some renegotiation, then do that. But at the same time, it's a Mercury retrograde, so things can be misunderstood or taken the wrong way or things like that. So
to give yourself some space with that too. Like you write it out and then you have
let it swirl around a little bit. Definitely. And so I like to look at the reverse because that tells us the shadow as well. And this is a number, says the number 7 has always been associated with ancient mysticism. And I guess there are 7 different kinds of chickadees. So 7 symbolizes the triangle upon the square, the individual rising above the material plane. There are 7 bodies, 7 chakras, 7 levels of consciousness, and more. So in the reverse position, something is not rising to the occasion. So asking ourselves, are we not putting our heart in it? You know, are we not really into this community or this thing that we're doing at this moment, you know? And are we not taking the necessary actions? Are we thinking too much and not responding when opportunities present themselves? Which is going to be another thing about this year I think I've talked about, is getting yourself grounded enough that you can respond in any moment, you know, to the opportunity that's being presented. The better we are at being grounded, the easier that will be too. So Chickadee questions: are we thinking and not acting? Are we acting before thinking? Are we being truthful with others? So are we being integrity? Are others being truthful with us? Are we making promises we can't or won't keep? Are others making such promises to us, and is the truth being ignored? So these are some of the things we can just sort of marinate during this retrograde. That's going to be fun. And I'm sorry, I always love getting the wolf. So for Pisces, all my wolf babies, I know you're out there because I'm a wolf baby too. And so this is the moon though. So we're getting the moon card for this whole thing, and for Mercury going backwards in Pisces. This is the Pisces side. So connecting to our intuition, following through, doing the work, you know, setting the earth side of things. The opposite of Pisces is Virgo. So we want to have a system. We want to have a practice in place for our magical time sometimes, because that helps hone it. That helps bring it in, and it helps us manifest in so many ways. So the wolf in this deck, and you probably already know, it's Animal Wise Tarot by Ted Andrews. And this is intuitive guidance and guardianship. So of course, wolves are the epitome of the wild spirit, with many positive characteristics and so many things in common with humans, of course. Complex communication system, body language, vocalization. So we're thinking about all this during the retrograde too. How do we express ourselves? And how are people expressing themselves around us? How is that going? When wolf appears, our communications become stronger, and the communications of others become clearer. We
Can I see that
recognize
real quick? What are the name of the animal cards again?
the animal wise tarot. It's backwards, but
Ted Andrews, just in case you can look it up.
yeah,
It's Ted Andrews. Yeah.
yeah. So the animal wise, I like the medicine cards by Jamie Sams. Really good animals. Ted Andrews has got a deeper one that's like bigger with more animals. That's kind of fun. And then the shaman cards that I'm using, I think he might have some animal cards too, is Stephen Farmer.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's another shaman as well. And so the wolf brings up our instincts and intuition, which is again with the Pisces energy going backwards, is a reconnection with our intuition. So we can do a little bit of stripping and clearing during this retrograde that reconnects us to that so that we are on point with what's right for us. The whole idea of Virgo Pisces is being a spirit in human form and learning how to follow our own intuition for what's right for our bodies. Like Virgo's the body and all the physical systems that work to keep us running. And Pisces is our connection to God. And so we have to manage both, you know, as human beings. Wolves have very keen senses, estimated 100 times greater than humans. Hearing is very powerful. So reactivating your senses for the year. Like, let me be alert. Let me be awake. Let me receive the messages I need to receive the way I need to receive them so that I am being guided. You know, this is about intuitive guidance. And they're social creatures. So we're doing social in a new way, but we might have to go in first to take care of ourselves before we go out and play with others in the spring. Wolf teaches us to hear our inner voice and guards us from inappropriate actions, which is, again, you got to feel right to do certain things.
They're
When
also
Wolf,
very good with boundaries, right? Like with that inner discernment.
yes.
Yeah.
And you check them out every now and then. You just always, you know,
That
checking
perimeter,
in.
baby. You know.
That's right. Exactly. When Wolf shows up, it's time to trust our inner guidance and in finding our new path and taking control of our lives. Wolf tells us there will be guidance and protection as we take up the new journeys. So we are going to be really blessed going forward. The questions Wolf asks is, are we being clear in our communications? Are others being clear with us? Are we responding even though the communication and the intuition is unclear? So that's when you ask someone to please clarify. You know, I didn't quite get that, you know. Are we being too sensitive right now? Are we allowing our fears to prevent us from stepping out into new directions, which is another Pisces thing. The shadow of Pisces is fears and phobias, irrational fears. And so I always try to remind people about that water piece. Water is a conduit. And you have some questions. And so we can feel, think of yourself either in the womb or in a pool. When you go under, you put your head under, you can still hear, but you don't know where it's coming from. You don't know if it's above, below, down, you know, to the side. It's disorienting. And so that's another good reason to do the review, because now we can ask, you know, for the guidance that's going to be really personal for us going forward. And so the animals, obviously we might not see a wolf, but dogs qualify.
Yep, they do. A quick question. With the water and irrational fears, would you recommend shadow work, or if someone gets their chart done with you, you can go into maybe some of those aspects with them?
Absolutely.
Correct? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And there are, let's say, signatures in the chart that make some of us more or less prone to that as well. So I have a real strong Pluto moon thing. And so I've always worked with shadow work and death, sex, power, money, all the kind of dark stuff. But it's really, I have always tried to take the fear out of it. I've always tried to make people more comfortable with these things because they're part of being human. Sex is part of being here. You know, money's part of being here. Power is something we all have, but we're not taught legitimately in Western culture what power is or how it works for us as individuals. So we're kind of scrambling, trying to learn now. And it takes practice.
Of my Pisces friends, like when they hear the word power, they cringe, right? And part of that's their own internal stuff, but also the illusion of power that's been over us for so long.
Oh, man.
Is, right? Yeah.
And so calling in that center of self, though, is what really helps. And again, with those internal yes and no's, they're so important for us to have. And the way I was trained, you can stand, you know, sort of shoulder length apart with your legs, and you can feel in your gut, literally in your gut, The way if you lean forward, it's usually a yes, and if you lean backwards, it's usually a no. And there's a way to sense in your body. So everyone practice with that, play with that. What is it for you? It might, my husband's forearms tingle when certain things happen. And so he has signals in his body when something's about to go down. And so we all have that. We are disconnected. We're very distant from our instincts, but they're still there. And so we can work on them.
And we've touched this on this before, but it's a really good year to really get in touch with our physical body and all those little voices that are inside of us that are telling us what to do. And our body talks to us
all day. And
day.
We should say that throughout every week is our body is our best communicator. It's your best indicator for everything going on with you. You know, we talked about the extra weight needing protection or waiting for things to happen instead of taking action can also make you hold weight. But there's different aches and pains and little things that happen along the way. Like right now, I'm realizing, like I said, I've dealt with so much grief in my life for the death pieces that I've had to deal with. Both my thumbs are jacked up. And I feel like I've been dealing with the grief. I didn't bury it. And it's still, you know, there's still parts of our body that hold energy. So that's why yoga is so great, because it opens you up and stretches you out and gets oxygen in places that allows the energy to move. We are not built for being stagnant people. We are supposed to be moved.
No,
and so
let's talk. You know, I just over the holidays, it was the anniversary, my mom and dad's birthday, but also, and they both have passed away, right? And I was like, oh my goodness, my thumbs are like, you know, really like hurting me. And so I had to do massage on them and really work with it and go into my sadness, right? To go into my grief about that and
feel your way through to the other side, everyone. Don't run away, because that's when it builds up. It's like a buildup if you don't deal with it and address certain grief, which is another good thing during a Mercury retrograde. You know, give yourself some space to grieve a little, to cry, to let go of the old year, to mourn whatever didn't happen, and be okay with it. Like, get present, get caught up, and what you want to do for spring, you know, because this year
past, I would schedule time for that, right? It was like giving myself permission to go into the shadow aspects of myself, whether it was grief or anger or whatever that is that I have going on, right? We have like 18 minutes.
Okay. Well, I will say that you should time it, and everyone take a time out for February, March, you know, is going to be the first retrograde of the year. You can schedule June, July, little downtime, and then October, November. These are going to be the 3 Mercury retrogrades. So you can loosely remember them through Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio time. That's about when it's going to happen. So, again, with the review of the emotions.
Like sharing with you also.
We'll have some goodies every week. So then I was thinking, in addition to the animals, I had the shamanic cards for something to do. Because we want to always leave people with a little something they can do. And so let's see, for the Aquarius side of this, walking meditation. So this is really pretty little path of feet here. A walking meditation is where you walk slowly, about 75% of your usual pace, breathing in the rhythm with each step. While outdoors, walk for 10 minutes at a much slower pace, coordinating your breathing with each step. Walk on Earth Mother barefoot each day to bring health and healing. And the affirmation says, I am aware of my breath and each step I take, which I love that we got for Aquarius, because even though it's the water bearer, it's really an air sign. So breathing is really big this year too. We're all breathing much deeper. We are oxygenating. Right, really. And so for the Pisces side of things, what can we do there? So walking under the sky will help clear your mental body for sure. What's going to be good for the Pisces side? All right. Well, leave it to Pisces to get the fear card. So we're gonna deal with the fear card, but we're gonna pull another one. So fear is an instinctual response to a perceived threat. Yet conditioning can cause you to fear things that are not an actual threat at all. Make a list for your specific fears and develop a strategy to heal those that are heal those fears that are unnecessary and or problematic. Trust your instincts. That's the thing about Virgo Pisces and the whole fear dynamic is when you're trusting your intuition, your actions and right timing works out. So I now release any and all fears that serve no purpose, which they don't. So let's see, what can we do in response to that fear? Singing, always a good one. The voice. So walking, breathing, and singing is what we need to do this February, March. Singing sacred songs or chants is a way to make a conscious connection with the spirit or spirit guides. And I love mantras and chanting. I do a lot of that. I love kirtan and singing that Shanta's introduced me to. I love that. Learn 2 or 3 sacred songs or chants and sing them at least once a day. Sing unabashedly with an open heart, which that's what I do in the car.
And the shower.
And the shower. I sing praises and gratitude to spirit at every opportunity. So gratitude's another big one to reach for when you're down, because that helps bring your vibration back up to where you can think straight and maybe get ahead where you need to. So this is going to be a good week, but very mental. So take some time for that. Give yourself some breathing room with that and some time to review your ideas, because this is the beginning of the year. Things are still dormant and just coming to life. So you're just starting to cultivate what you're going to bring to life for the year. And a reminder about Mars and Venus retrograding this year. They don't often do it in the same year. So our masculine feminine is getting an upgrade this year. So think about that for yourself. Which part of you is good at receiving and contain, nurture, and protect? And which part of you is good at giving and putting out there, cultivating your ideas, creating good boundaries, and negotiating on your own behalf? That's your masculine, male or female, doesn't matter. So we're practicing and recalibrating that this year. And our masculine is going to get a little more in touch with who we are and what we want, which means making choices and decisions that are really good and pertinent for you personally, the individual. And the Venus retrograde is going through Gemini, so it's going to review the value of our ideas, thoughts, and concepts. So those ideas that you have bubbling for the new year, this is your cultivation time behind the scenes before you launch and give it to other folks. So use it. That Mercury retrograde is good for that too. Again, like you said earlier, if you've started the project beforehand, Mercury retrograde is actually good for finishing or fixing mistakes or reviewing and going back through. It's good for those kind of things. Or like you said, any reversals. If things have been going one way, a reversal might be helpful, And to be prepared, kind of mentally and emotionally prepared, so you're not surprised. And reach out.
Yeah, reach out.
Definitely reach out.
Please get a reading with Kelly, and don't forget that cheat sheet. I also, maybe next week we'll get some input in some supportive foods obviously like your climate, but maybe, making sure you're drinking plenty of water, or warm teas right now this time of year, right?
I'm doing my bone broth for sure.
Yeah, right? Like things to support your physical body, so that integration and when we rest, our body is taking that time to regenerate as well.
Yes,
so
because we are regenerative.
Yes. So that it can hold these energies coming in. So if anyone has anything that's working for them right now, please feel free to share with everyone. I know that last week in the Venus Circle, we had Mike on, and that was so fantastic.
Oh, yes. Cinnamon, who's actually here. I can see him.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Cinnamon Rose Priestess is my next guest, and we're getting together February 19th.
Oh,
it's a Wednesday at this time at 4 o'clock. So.
Oh, perfect. Oh, yeah. So we'll definitely share that. I know. That was so fantastic on that call, and it was
just plant really medicine. Yes, she's great.
It was great. It was really great. So tell me about Cinnamon Rose. So we'll share a little bit. So
Cinnamon. Now we're going to be moving into the sacral chakra, the creative center, and so she's going to come in and talk to us about our creativity and sovereignty and holding our own in our world wherever we are. It's going to be so great. She's a mentor, priestess, amazing chick that has helped us all sort of evolve. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. It's going to be our sacral chakra in the sign of Aries. And it's going to be connected with, I believe, our third eye. So the creative center in your third eye, we're coming down into the root to what we want to bring into form. So
Yeah.
here's where we're going to make it beautiful and make that real connection.
I love how
So.
everything comes together in so many ways, right?
Yes.
Anyone
Yes.
have any questions or comments before we get cut off? Because it's like last week,
Yes.
right?
We're doing better this time.
Yeah, if someone has
Yay.
a
Thank you,
tea that's
everyone.
working for them or anything, like whatever.
Definitely.
And questions for Kelly. I know that I love the idea of the cheat sheet and us forming something for
I'll see if
going
I can
forward.
do it and load it up. I know I'm still struggling here, but I'm getting
Or
better.
maybe you can share it with me and I can
Yeah, you
figure
handle
out
it.
a way to do that. Well, I'll just ask. I'll ask either someone. I'll ask someone.
There you go. I love it. We're a team. We're doing
Yes.
it. We all
We
bring
all are
something to the
coming together
table.
doing
That's
what
right.
we can. Yes, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
I love
thanks
it.
everyone
Well,
for
thank you,
being here.
everyone.
And
Mhm.
thank you again for showing back up. I'm looking forward to Tuesdays. It's a great way to start the week, right?
Yes,
It's
yes.
fantastic. And
Helps all of us.
it does help all of us. It's like our map for the week, right? And so, and
Yeah,
even going forward with that. And so don't forget to get your
I
personal
love
map,
it.
right?
Yes. Thank you,
Bye,
everyone. So much
everyone.
gratitude. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you. Bye,
Much
Cal.
love.
They're all saying thanks.
Thank you. I don't know.